He's the moderator and administrator for AWS User Group Coimbatore. And we have Raghav as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today. He's from Chennai. Myself, Tamilselvan Easwaran, from Sydney, working for Optus as a cloud solution architect. But so I thought, why don't we organize a meetup in Coimbatore? Already in the but looks like Krishna? Looks like this is the first offline meetup happened. So it's really good. I'm very fortunate to be here joining you all. நிறைய experts இருக்கீங்க, both cloud on your own field as well. So feel free. Cloud is so huge and vast. Everybody can't do everything. So that's why we have a good team of experts joining us today. Let's start with Angus. Angus, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. Great to meet you all, guys. So, Angus Edwards. I currently am the Associate Director of Strategic Pursuits at Optus, which is the second largest telco in Australia and part of the Singtel group. But previously, I worked for a born-in cloud AWS partner called BlazeClan, based out of Pune. So India and the Indian tech scene is close to my heart. That's kind of where my tech career started. So lovely to meet you all, and thank you very much for having us along to chat with you today.
Cheers, Angus. Jacob?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jacob Cantwell. I'm an AWS solution architect. I've been at AWS for 2.5 years now, and I work closely with Optus as one of our strategic partners in Australia. So I collaborate with Angus and Tamil as well, and we work on like lots of exciting projects like 5G and IoT together. So yeah, I'm very excited to be able to talk to you. So thanks for inviting me to this. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. Kaushik?
Right. Thanks, everyone. Good morning to you all. So I hope my videos is coming up on your screens. I'm not very sure. Just want to check. Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's
so
fine.
hi everyone. So I would have. Right. Okay, so I lead the global cloud practice for Cloud Kinetics. I'm based out of Chennai. So I basically come from a network and infrastructure background. And my association with cloud and AWS started in 2010. So since then, I've had a chance to basically witness the complete growth of AWS, which has been really phenomenal, as it started with all EC2s back then, and then you see all this IoT, AI, ML, and all this stuff coming up. So it's great to be part of this group today, right? And that too, speaking about one of my favorite topics, which is about cloud migration journey. So I would have ideally, like Angus says, I wanted to be in Coimbatore as well, but for various reasons I couldn't make it. But thanks to Dinesh and Karthik, who are there amidst the crowd there now in Coimbatore, representing Cloud Kinetics. Right? Thank you all. I hope sometime in the future events I would get a chance to meet you all.
Sure. Thanks, Kaushik. And we do have Dinesh joining from Cloud Kinetics. And they really offered us some goodies to take away home. Don't forget about those. Okay. Agenda for today. We'll be talking about 4 topics. One, first of all, we plan to keep it very generic. And then we can focus on improving or focusing on future topics as per popular request. So first, Jacob would be talking generic about AWS on AWS footprint globally and in India, and then followed by Kaushik talking about customers' cloud journey, how customers use cloud and what's the journey. And we'll be having a break. Please feel free to get out, have some tea, snacks. And then followed by Angus, we'll be talking about how partner network works. Who's the partner and what's the benefits for customers and also AWS and also partners using cloud. Finally, I'll be talking about how to grow your career. Just take as much as you can with using AWS. So that's the agenda. let's get started. Some logistics. Workplace over there. Washroom upstairs. Another one. Jacob, over to you.
Thanks, Tamil. Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting me to come and talk to you today. It's really exciting. A bit about myself. My name's Jacob Cantwell. I'm an AWS SA. I have a background building web applications, mobile phone apps, IT apps for sort of small devices. And my job as an AWS SA is helping customers build applications on AWS. So they'll come to me with what problems that they have or any questions about using AWS services, and I'll work with them and we'll build proof of concepts and demonstrate how you can use AWS to solve their business problems. It's a really fun job. You get to meet lots of different people, talk to lots of people, and it's really exciting for me to enable builders and see what they can build on AWS. And sorry, I'm just going to today's talk. What I want to focus on today is our global infrastructure, especially give you some details on how we break that down into regions and availability zones, and then tell you about the latest 2022 AWS infrastructure announcements in India. And if you have any questions, we can go through them at the end. So Amazon Web Services, AWS, we started our offering IT infrastructure services back in 2006. And since then, we've just been growing at an amazing pace. And we now offer more than 200 global cloud-based products, including compute, storage, databases, analytics, networking, the mobile and developer tools, lots of management tools. The latest IoT solutions and support for security and enterprise applications. And these services they're helping organizations that move faster at lower IT costs and helping them scale globally to customers around the world. And we have the largest and the most dynamic community. It's not just AWS, but we've got a massive AWS community. There's millions of active customers every month and more than 100,000 AWS partners. And we're serving customers in over 245 countries and territories now. So, and we're helping in virtually every industry and every size, from startups, enterprises, public sector organizations, running every imaginable use case you can think of. And every AWS customer has the opportunity to benefit from all of this collaboration with customers and partners. And all of that feedback comes into improving our services. So today I want to talk to you about our AWS global infrastructure. So our services are hosted within our global data center footprint. And that allows customers to consume services without having to build or manage their own facilities or their own server equipment. And we have the concept of a region, which is a physical location around the world where we cluster these data centers. Today, we have 26 geographic regions, and we're growing really quickly. So we've recently announced plans for 8 more regions, a second one in Australia, in Canada, a second one in India, in Israel, New Zealand, Spain, Switzerland, and the UAE. In Australia, we've got the Sydney region. In India, we've got the Mumbai region. But basically, we're trying to expand into all of the large developed geographies with our AWS regions, because we want to put our services close to where our customers' users are, so that they get the best customer experience. And our regions are comprised of multiple availability zones. And we do this for high availability, high scalability, and fault tolerances. And the data, if you have applications or data, those are replicated in real time so that they're consistent across those different AZs. And each AWS region consists of multiple isolated and physically separate AZs within that geographic area. So every region has at least 2 or more AZs, and some regions have up to 6 AZs. So what's an AZ? An AZ is it consists of 1 or more discrete data centers, and each of those data centers has redundant power, networking, connectivity, each housed in separate facilities. And at full scale, 1 AZ can be hundreds or thousands of servers. So today we've got 84 AZs across those 26 geographic regions, and we've announced plans for another 24. So, for example, the Mumbai region has 3 AZs, and each of those AZs would be a collection of data centers that are near each other. And then those data centers, they're connected via redundant, ultra low latency networks, so they can replicate the data among them in real time. The AZs have also isolated on fault lines, isolated on floodplains, networks, electrical grids. And the whole point of that is to reduce the chance of simultaneous failure, so that if you're designing a workload and you're focused on high availability for your production workload, you can scale your applications across those multiple AZs to achieve greater fault tolerance. And AWS, we have a lot of custom hardware. And that includes our purpose-built compute servers, storage servers, routers, and silicon. The routers that are used in our global infrastructure, they're designed by Amazon to be far more reliable than third-party created routers that are difficult to maintain. We've moved beyond traditional load balancers to this massive distributed load balancers that are designed to spread loads over thousands of hosts. Our compute servers are based on our Nitro system architecture, and that enables high performance, availability, and security. And we use a custom network virtualization protocols to route and secure the traffic in your virtual private clouds, and custom software for things like the power switching equipment, so that you can plan for rare power outages. And we also develop custom chips for compute, storage, and networking, and that's so that you can maximize our flexibility needed to optimize the hosting of our AWS workloads. And there's a lot of benefits I could go in for a while on the security. Our infrastructure is monitored 24/7 to help ensure the confidentiality. Our all of the data flowing across our global network is automatically encrypted at the physical layer before it leaves our secure facilities. We have the highest network availability with 7 times fewer downtime hours than the next largest cloud providers, and our network is designed for performance. And we've got fully redundant, multiple 100 gigabit Ethernet fiber that provides terabytes of capacity between regions. So this means we're all designed for scaling. So you can scale up to serve customers globally, and give you the flexibility to run your workloads. So running your workloads in the cloud, or maybe in hybrid solutions where you're combining your on-premise applications and the cloud. Our infrastructure includes our Amazon CloudFront delivery network. So if you're streaming things like streaming videos for end users, and you want lower latency, and you want them to have improved download times, you would use our content delivery network. So there's 310 CloudFront points of presence now across 90 cities and over 47 countries. They're all connected to our AWS regions through our network backbone. So that's that fully redundant multiple 100 gigabit fiber that circles the globe with links for tens of thousands of networks. And here's sort of a diagram of that. This infrastructure is built for performance. You get low latency, low packet loss, high overall quality, network quality, all over redundant connections. And something that's really important to Amazon as well is that we have a big commitment for reaching, or a big sustainability commitment. So for reaching net zero carbon emissions across our operations by 2040, we're on a path to powering our 100% of our operations by 2025. And in 2020, we became the largest corporate producer of renewable energy. And our AWS global infrastructure is a big part of that sustainability commitment. So there was a 451 research 2019 white paper which showed that moving premises your workloads to AWS can lower your carbon footprint by up to 88% from a median US enterprise data center, or 72% over one of the most efficient top 10 companies. And this commitment is part now of our Amazon leadership principles, which are those are the tenets that we describe how we do business and what we need to demonstrate in our actions every day. And since the launch of our AWS Asia Pacific Mumbai region that opened in June 2016, there's now tens of thousands of active customers in India, including Tata Motors, NDTV, Lupin, the pharmaceutical company, the Future Group retail brands, and the Shoppers Stop department stores. And they've adopted AWS for a broad range of applications, from e-governance and website hosting, big data analytics, mobile apps, and mission critical applications such as SAP, Oracle, for example. There's the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology is establishing a quantum computing applications lab in collaboration with AWS. The Department of Science and Technology of the Indian government has launched a science channel with daily content called India Science that runs on AWS. And we've got a lot more examples on our AWS website distilling the customer success stories in India and across the globe. So we launched the Mumbai region in 2016 with the 2 AZs. In May 2019, we expanded that Mumbai region to include a 3rd AZ just to support the rapid customer growth and increased usage there, and to provide even higher fault tolerances. And then in 2020, we've announced that at the Asia Pacific Hyderabad region in Telangana is in development, and that's going to open mid 2022 with 3 availability zones. That's very exciting for helping customers build further fault tolerance into the applications. So that's going to be our 2nd region in India and our 11th in Asia. In addition to that expansion of the region, there's currently 22 CloudFront edge locations in India. So those are growing all the time as well. There's 7 in New Delhi, 6 in Chennai, 4 in Mumbai. That's something that we're constantly expanding that edge network out to improve that customer experience for where our customers are. And then another announcement in 2022 that we've also announced AWS local zones, and they're going to roll out across India in Bengaluru, Chennai, Delhi, and Kolkata. These local zones allow you to use select AWS services like compute and storage services closer to where your end users are, providing them with low latency access to applications. So they're designed to bring core services needed, such as EC2, EBS, EBC, make them locally available and in closer geographic proximity with extremely low latency. And finally, that we're expanding our direct connect locations. So there's 6 direct connect locations now that connect to the Mumbai region. That definitely will be increasing with the second region in India. And that direct connect is our service that lets customers set up their dedicated network connection to AWS. So if customers are using direct connect to their data centers with AWS, they can set up private and secure connections without sending their data over the private network. We've also opened our first office in India in 2011. We now have offices in 7 cities, including Coimbatore, to support our diverse base of customers across India. In those offices, we've got account managers, business development managers, professional services consultants, solution architects like myself, and technical account managers. And if you do an internet search for our Amazon jobs, you'll find that there's over 1,000 openings across India right now. And another thing we're doing in India is we're investing in a lot of programs that are designed to upskill local students and developers to create the next generation of IT leaders. And these programs are used by hundreds of universities and tens of thousands of students in India. And there's globally a massive skill shortage for cloud skills. And I hear that from customers every single day. So we need people like yourselves that are interested in cloud to encourage more people and students to start studying STEM, learn about cloud, and be builders. And as part of that, we offer the AWS Academy, which provides higher education institutions with free cloud computing curriculum. And also AWS Educate, which helps students to develop their own cloud computing skills by giving them access to AWS services and then content so they can learn how to use it. And then we also offer a lot of AWS Activate credits for like technical support and tools for funding and startups. And I'm sure there's a lot more, but that's all. If you have any, that's 15 minutes, sorry. So let me stop sharing. Yeah, thank you.
Can't hear you anymore.
Hi. I hope that was okay. If there's any questions.
It's better now. Can you speak?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, awesome. Cool. We lost you for the last 15 seconds, Jacob. Thanks for that.
No, that's okay.
All good, buddy. So that's it with the first session. And just a question to everyone. Since everyone is new to all, I'd like to know how many of you have used AWS so far in your work or on your own Amazon services. Almost 80% of the audience, right? So it's really good. I know those would be very basic ones, but as I said earlier, it's time to get all of us together, and then we can focus on specific topics in the future. Did you say we have Amazon have an office in Coimbatore, Jacob?
We do. There's offices in 7 cities: Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, and Coimbatore. And I looked on the Amazon jobs website, so there are a few openings actually there as well.
Nice.
So everyone please have a look.
Coaching people here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank
Thank you.
I'm also on LinkedIn. If you've got any AWS questions, please reach out. Happy to answer any questions as well.
Thanks for that, Jacob. We need to move on. So the next session would be handled by Kaushik. The topic would be customers' journey on cloud. Over to you, Kaushik.
Oh, thank you very much. Right, I hear a lot of echo. I hope I'm audible, loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thanks. So so the topic for today is going to be a customer's cloud journey. But then let me clarify, this is not about something very generic, considering that there's a mixed, some people starting from early adopters of cloud to some experienced folks around there. So this is going to be more about how a customer's journey is going to look like when they start to adopt a cloud transformation. So what it takes to make a decision to migrate to the cloud, and then how do they really execute the migration? Right? So Jacob actually talked about the AWS news and statistics. Now I believe it's time to talk about some approach and methodology. Right? I'm not sharing my screen. Let me do that. Just a minute. All right. Can you all see my screen? So is my screen visible to everyone? All right, great. So I'll move on then. Great. So firstly, yes, why would somebody want to move to the cloud? There are a lot of companies who are looking to move to the cloud. Why do they do that? Right? So this probably motherhood statement now people make motherhood questions as well, right? Why somebody would want to move to the cloud? What is the benefit of cloud? What do they get by moving or adopting cloud? So now this has become a new normal. Every company is now forced to build things on the cloud directly. They call it the born in the cloud or born in the cloud kind of application. So the organizations that have traditionally been implementing applications, building workloads, etc., on their premises inside their data centers are now forced to move to the cloud. Right. So for such organizations, the question is, it's not about if you want to move anymore, but it's about how fast can you move. What are we moving first? Right? So they have to get the ball rolling. They're not forced to think about cloud. They're forced to adopt the cloud first strategy, right? And then obviously, I think the people here in this group are ideally aware of what benefits they can get by moving to the cloud. I know you guys can do a bit of evangelism around that as well. So a bit of statistics before I go in, right? So this is the same as what AWS has witnessed over the years as well, right? So when an organization, so when I say organization or company, it's more of an enterprise, right? Startup business already in the cloud, they venture into the cloud from day one. But then there are a lot of enterprises who've been over, the years built massive data centers, decades of experience handling, implementing applications on their data centers. So when they move to the cloud, they widely move to AWS. What they've seen is that 31% of the average infrastructure cost has come down, 62% more efficiency with infrastructure management, and then 3x more features delivered per year. So which is more like the customizations, the leveraging of newer services. So once you migrate into the cloud, you start to adopt newer services, right? And and then everybody knows, Jacob was talking about it, the gamut of services that AWS offers, and that keeps updating every few weeks or few days as well, right? It's going to be hard to catch up with AWS. So there's a lot that developers or DevOps engineers or businesses can actually take advantage of. Right? And a 69% reduction in the unplanned downtime from once they migrated to the AWS, and then 43% lower security incidents per year. So with that, so why would somebody want to consider a cloud migration, right? So ideally, in this last few years at least, I've seen companies not thinking of the traditional approach of buying more hardware. Right, the first thing they want to understand, at least even their sponsors, the company, top level executives, they tell the IT folks that first go see what it takes to build the environment in the cloud, what it takes to migrate to the cloud before we start to buy newer hardware or refresh the entire hardware in the data center. Right? So one of the, there are multiple reasons, but then there's a few covered here, but there could be more as well, right? So there could be agility or development related productivity that's in question, right? So when they have a data center in the cloud that can quickly help them scale up, spin up newer resources, build applications quickly in an agile method, then obviously businesses will want to adopt that, right? And then let's think of a data center consolidation where multiple data centers, will be consolidated one data center, reduction of resources, reduction of IT staffs, things like that, right? And then also, the capacity is always a problem, right? So when does this data center consolidation happen? That happens when there are acquisitions and divestitures or mergers that are happening in the organization, right? And then there's the businesses now are scaling so much that even you would see e-commerce applications out in the market who have struggled a few years ago in keeping up with the demand, right? Where there are like big events that they host, campaigns that they run, but then they struggle end of the day keeping up with the hardware capacity. So all they need is a large-scale compute-intensive environment, so they can build more workloads than a scalable environment, right? And then the cost from managing a facility, managing the real estate. So the companies do take decisions when as one of the factors that triggers to the cloud migration as well, right? So when you the basic things about cloud, the fundamental is that there are different types of cloud service models. Probably very common or basic ones that all of you would have heard about is infrastructure as a service. So that's where AWS also started several years ago, right? When they came into this business. So it's called IaaS. So the infrastructure as a service. Then there is a platform as a service. Then there is a software as a service, right? So who uses the infrastructure as a service? Basically, it's the system administrators who manage them, right? As and when the businesses, the application teams, they want newer hardware, storage, network capacity, etc. The IT focused system administrators generally spin up resources for them and then give them the handover the environment to the actual business users or application users. Right? And now that transformed into a platform as a service. Think about tools, services like the relational database services that AWS offers, the load balancing services that AWS offers, where you don't have to, once you have the infrastructure, you don't have to go about installing something, right? You don't have to install the operating system. You don't have to install the database. It's all ready. It's available to you. It's a platform that somebody can readily start using them, right? And then that transformed into a software as a service where you think of your Google Workspace or Gmail email services these days, right? It's also software as a service. You don't have to do much about it, right? You don't have to configure anything. It's just all you do is you have an inbox, you customize the view of it, right? So, SaaS is something that end users directly get to experience and start using them. Right? They don't have to really go through, an IT administrator or a developer and application guy as well to do all this customization for them. So what comes in the controls you have when you have an IaaS-based environment is you really get access to the server, storage, and networking components, virtualization, and even when you go to AWS, IaaS is something that AWS owns, right? Where the role of AWS administrators come in is when you have to do things on top of the virtualization, right? Maybe control the way the instances are being created, the operating system, etc. Right? And then platform as a service, it gives you additional benefit because the instances that you create on AWS comes with middleware, the runtime, and all of that, where you can help configure them for your end users to start using them. And if it's with SaaS, like I was saying, it comes with the application and data as well. So there is nothing for you to really build on top of it. It's a ready-made application that you can start using from day one. Okay, so this, all through, we've been talking about migrations, right? So maybe taking a step back. I mean, I don't want to talk about a traditional, a data center versus a cloud-based data center or business, right? That's a bigger topic. But then let's take, for example, an application. Right? Think about an application that was built traditionally on-premise, and then think about moving that to the cloud. And then a cloud-native application, which is born in the cloud, that is built for the cloud and on the cloud, right? So the cloud migrant apps, potentially applications that you would like to migrate, it was originally built on-premise, right? And then the cloud-native apps, which is built, it's functional, and it's already deployed on the cloud, and you're already using them. So what it takes from an implementation standpoint, right? So generally, the data center folks, they configure the server, they do customizations, the operating system or virtualization layer, they do the hardware setup, which is all time consuming. So the time it takes to hand over an environment to an application or business team is going to be long, right? And when it comes to a cloud native application, you already have a hardware ready and available with you, right? So the configuration is ready, so it's pretty fast and efficient for you to deliver them. And then for talking about scalability, right? So the on-premise applications are not generally built for scalability because you have always a crunch with the hardware that you have in-house, right? And then the upgrades or something, it's very difficult to plan because you cannot let go of an hardware right away or a server that's running right away if something happens. But then from a cloud native application, it's already built, architected for scalability. It is already built. Let's say if it was built today, you would do it with microservices, you would do it with containerization, serverless architecture, etc. So the time you would spend on modernizing that further is going to be very, very low because it's already a modern application, right? And then for at least for time to come, you don't have to think about refactoring the application at all, right? But then traditional businesses, they have to first migrate, then think about how to modernize their application, how to bring about functionally making changes to the application and all that. Now, getting into the core migration topic, right? Generally, there are 4 key factors that the companies will have to think about when they take a decision to migrate cloud. Right? So once they need to assess their current IT landscape and just what workloads they've got. This is typically an inventory kind of a report that they would need, right? Then plan, on what can be moved to the cloud and when and how it's going to be moved, etc. Right? Where you categorize critical application, non-critical applications. What are the core services that you have in the data center that needs to be migrated, etc. Right? And then once your planning is done, start to migrate the workloads. Find out what approach, what migration strategy works for you. You want to refactor the application where you want to change the operating system. You want to completely modify the architecture to a serverless. Whether you want to refactor the infrastructure or the application, something decision you will take. Typically, companies do take the lift and shift kind of an approach to start with when they migrate, and then go on to modernize them. And then once you're in the cloud, you migrated the application, start to optimize for cost, security, and performance, and then think of further optimization, further adoption of new services that are available on AWS. So typically what the journey takes and what it's going to look like, okay? This is common across any cloud. So when even as let's say you're an architect, you go work with a customer to start migrating, you will ideally start with an assessment and a rationalization exercise where you identify, discover the servers that are in the environment, assess the server mappings. You find out then what cloud migration strategy works for each application, the core workloads, non-core workloads, etc. So it's a thorough infrastructure assessment that you would conduct, right? It could be tool-based or it could be manual, inventory-based. But then this is a very, this is a starting point. This is mandatory. So the outcome of the assessment rationalization is you come up with a business case. Business case is something that is your total cost of ownership. So you tell your company that, when you migrate to the cloud, this is the savings you get. So current IT costs so much. Now, after you move to the cloud, this is how you're going to spend on the power cost, the electricity, your hardware cost, your cost of the IT staff, and all of that, right? So that all together comprises a business case. And what more you can adapt from a roadmap perspective, the business case, we can talk about what are the next steps and how can we further optimize or improve the environment after we migrate. Okay. And then comes a mobilize phase. A mobilize phase, think about it as a pilot phase, right? Where you get to do a deeper analysis of the application, every workload, understand how the application works, how the communication happens, etc. Then build basically a cloud foundation for the environment. Like having a landing zone kind of a concept, implementing all of this strategy, the security and governance models and all that. And start to migrate a fewer applications initially to build the confidence and find out how it works, right? So users will also have to get a confidence of how the application is going to work when they move to the cloud. Then think about a big bang approach of migrating your entire data center, right? So once you have migrated the data center, you start to look at modernizing them. Like I said, like an infrastructure level, you could do adopt platform as a services, or you could do a refactoring approach where you modernize the application itself to functionally work in a different manner, leveraging serverless, containerization, and all of that. So once you're done with the entire migration, generally there is a post-migration phase where you closely monitor, right? Transition to appropriate teams internally as required. And then the level 5, where you think about optimization and then re-engineer, right? So you optimize for the cost, security, and then improve your governance on the environment. Then start to think about leveraging your services that are offered. Finally, so AWS, Jacob did cover there are a lot of services and offerings that AWS is coming up with. The AWS has got a good tool set. AWS tool canvas is really wide. So it now, it's improved over the years, where I see now there is a tool to do the discovery and assessment, to actually coming up, building a business case, to completing your migration as well, end to end. So all of these tools are available. So I know I don't want to go in detail about this, but then you don't have to look out for a third party these days. Everything that AWS offers that are available for you to conduct an end-to-end migration for the customers of your own company. All right, so thank you very much for that. I think these slides would make a lot of sense to you all. I really believe so. Please do feel free to ask if there are any questions. And I hope I'm not, it's not over time. I probably 15, 20 minutes, I believe.
All good. Any questions, anyone? Okay. So thanks, Kaushik. Just stand by for any further questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Kaushik. Next on the agenda is the break everyone wanted. But there'll be coffee and tea we offered in about 5 minutes. Let's have some break. Network yourself. The main goal of us, all of us coming together, is to know each other, and we want the community to grow as big as possible. And then we want every one of you to offer a presentation in the future. Think about on the lines, and let's have a break. Following the break, Angus, don't go anywhere. You'll be the next. Hope you can hear me. And followed by a boring ending presentation by me. Please bear with me. And let's have a break. Hope you had a nice break. Let's get started. Next on the line is Mr. Angus from Sydney joining us. Thanks for waiting, Angus. I know it's
my pleasure. My pleasure. I understand you had some snacks, so everyone's well breakfast. That's good because the blood sugar will keep the attention high. So yeah, that's not a bad thing at all. My pleasure.
over to you, Angus.
You for me to start? Fantastic. Let me fiddle around with the screen sharing for just a moment. Bear with me while it takes me through all the different prompts. And I might just share my entire screen. All right. So thank you so much for having me, guys. It's quite a profound and quite humbling experience to both share the stage with Kaushik and Jacob, who no doubt have forgotten more about AWS technology than I will ever know, and also to be able to speak with you across many tens of thousands of miles. It's a very profound privilege. So thank you very much. I have a very straightforward mandate in the presentation I'm going to give, which is to give you a quick orientation around partnering with AWS and also to, I guess, give you a bit of a challenge and a call to action that hopefully segues into Tamil's presentation after mine. So without further ado, I'll just kind of give you a bit of an overview of partnering with AWS. So the first thing, I guess, to contextualize here is that Amazon principally is a platform business. So like most of the large tech companies that have come out of the last sort of 15 to 20 years of tech growth post the dot-com boom, AWS is part of Amazon's sort of platform, both in terms of as a web store, as a enormous fulfillment network for buyers and sellers to connect in the marketplace, but also AWS and Amazon Web Services is fundamentally trying to bring people who build stuff to customers who use stuff. And so partners play a really important part of that ecosystem. And it's probably helpful to think of Amazon as a platform to be able to explain why partners are so important and really critical to the success of the platform being able to grow and scale and reach the masses that it has. So there's a couple sort of, I guess, factual pieces that I'll run through. And then really happy to stick around afterwards for any questions after Tamil's presentation that kind of speak to some of the nitty-gritty details. I've kept this relatively light because I wasn't quite sure, how much experience with AWS and working with AWS partners and customers would be in the room. So if there are sort of a deeper level of questions that are required, very happy to take those at the end. So two basic types of partners that work with AWS. The first are technology partners who fundamentally are trying to build something either on the platform or to integrate in with the platform. And that can be both software, so traditional software vendors who are providing a cloud-hosted version of their product. It can be a service that is being developed specifically for the platform, or it could indeed be a piece of hardware that needs to integrate in with the platform. So, for example, the IoT service Greengrass, so getting a device validated as Greengrass compatible, gives a technology partner a lot of surety that there's going to be a strong market for their proposition. So probably more relevant to the audience, I suspect, is the second type of partner, the one that everyone who's spoken so far is part of, the consulting partner ecosystem that AWS both supports and has really enabled to flourish. So there's two sort of subtypes there. So the first is sort of born in cloud partners. So both Cloud Kinetics and BlazeCloud, where I worked previously, are examples of organizations who started their business having seen the opportunities of cloud. And so being born in cloud principally comes with a few benefits around being able to just narrowly focus on specializing in how technologies work in the cloud and not needing to adjust both work practices and technologies to fit cloud. And that can really give you a lot of quick path to scale. And then global system integrators, so those partners like the Tatars and Technohindras of the world, who are just enormous entities and really quite amazing organizations, both in terms of culture, but also opportunity, but certainly have long-standing lines of business, and they've worked on traditional infrastructure technologies, and so adjusting their business to the new kind of reality of cloud, it's a difficult pivot to take. And so those two flavors end up having quite different types of organizations to work for, and end up being quite different to partner with for both Amazon but also for customers. And throughout these slides, you'll see I've got sort of some further reading in Amazon, because all this is publicly available information, down at the URL at the bottom right. So within the consulting partner ecosystem, AWS awards various tiers, really to try to give customers some clear guidance on not only where to find specialism, but also how to be confident in the level of sort of the depth of experience and level of capability a partner brings to bear. So in no particular order, actually in the exact order that they're in, actually. So Premier is as the name suggests, the most highly regarded partners. So I think it's important to note that Cloud Kinetics has achieved Premier consulting status. So they are amongst the creme de la creme. And then sort of starting from registered, which is just, an organization has taken the steps to register themselves with AWS and starts partnering through to select and advanced. And these are really awarded for some very specific criteria. And there's, again, further reading on the specifics there. The first and most important thing from Amazon's perspective, so all through Amazon's organization, they use 16 leadership principles as kind of their guiding lights in decision making, and probably the first and foremost of those is their notion of customer obsession. So unsurprisingly, for them to choose from amongst the sort of tens of thousands of organizations that want to partner with AWS, they use as their guiding light how well have customers found their experience of working with that partner. And so customer satisfaction, or CSAT scores, are probably the primary mechanism for differentiating yourselves as a partner. And then obviously part and parcel of having expertise in a particular technology is passing the relevant certifications to prove that you have that expertise in addition to the experience. So there's a minimum number of certified individuals for each of the relevant tiers. And in addition to the kind of expertise, you obviously also want the experience. So needing to make sure that you have customers who are so happy with the work that's been delivered that they're prepared to publicly be case studies and references and provide testimonials to the work that's been done. And then finally, there's some sort of some qualification criteria around how many opportunities, so how many projects have the particular partners worked on that have gone all the way through to fruition. And we saw Kaushik's cloud adoption framework journey. So that's everything that's gone all the way from the left-hand side of the screen, from that migration readiness stage, all the way through the pilot mobilize stage and into production workloads, which is really where the value gets added. So I guess pulling back from some of the nitty-gritty of who and how partners work, why would a customer go to a partner to get work done? So, I think it's important to note that AWS is designed primarily as a self-service platform, across both the CLI mechanisms and SDK ways of integrating in with AWS through to the pretty straightforward, semi-technical, user-friendly GUI interface. It's designed to be able to spin stuff up pretty quickly. And so really as a customer, the principal reasons you would go to a partner is first of all, just giving yourself confidence that you're adopting new technologies in the right way. Some of the statistics involved in data breaches show some really alarming numbers when it comes to how many data breaches can be traced back to poorly configured cloud environments. So in particular, having publicly available S3 buckets, for example, it's pretty astonishing how quickly things can go wrong if you're not actually adopting best practices. And as much documentation as AWS provides and as much high quality learning content is out there, it really does help to have a customer, to give customer confidence in turning to the expertise and experience of people who have done that many times before, particularly when it comes to migrating existing workloads and production applications into the cloud. It requires a certain specialist skill, and that specialist skill is best done with experience. And you don't want to be the first people who you're sort of your guinea pig customer. You really want to go with people who have got that experience. And also the intellectual property or the IP of systematizing and codifying exactly how that organization approaches the work. And as much as there's a lot of publicly available IP around that, such as the Cloud Adoption Framework, there's also some pretty important behind the scenes IP that organizations develop that give a lot of risk management to an organization to make sure that they're not going to experience major failures, they're not going to experience data losses, and they won't experience service interruptions from their move. And ultimately, the benefits of moving to clouds that Kaushik went through in fantastic detail of scalability and reliability and security, those are all benefits that only happen once you've actually moved. And so if it takes you 2 weeks to move something, or if it takes you 2 years to move something, that's a really big difference to a business case and to a customer considering adopting cloud. So being able to quickly move workloads with confidence has real measurable business impact that offsets for the cost of engaging external parties rather than just having your teams learn how to do this on the fly. And then finally, and sort of segueing into working with an external party, particularly in the context of cloud, can be a really fantastic way of internal teams, particularly internal teams who have spent a lot of their time managing the prior state sort of legacy infrastructure, whether that be co-located or on premises, being able to be part of the embedded project team and together with the external party and the partner, moving those workloads into cloud and developing internal ownership and mechanisms to operate those in cloud moving forward. There's a lot of internal team upskilling and knowledge transfer that occurs in that process, particularly from the better partners who really understand how to embed that learning. So I guess it's probably worth also pointing out the benefits to the partner organizations and why so many successful businesses like Cloud Kinetics have been able to really thrive within the ecosystem that Amazon has curated. And I think that the first thing and most obvious is that there's a lot of resources and supports that AWS provides in order for these organizations to build their business. Everything from sort of access to business cases and other means of helping understand both on the marketing side and on the operational side how to build those businesses. AWS have experience in helping manage and helping grow and seed those businesses and have seen many businesses thrive. And then also having the AWS badge and the AWS brand associated with your organization, it's a genuine validation, particularly for customers, of course, and it's kind of really two sides of the same coin here when we look at the previous slide, but it's a validation that partner just genuinely have that capability. It's difficult to look at an organization's own internal website and really distinguish from capability to capability. It's largely they feel oftentimes interchangeable, but having a third party like AWS or like a Gartner or an IDC third party validation is a really helpful mechanism to be able to say this is absolutely the work that we do and the quality of the work that we do. And then also within that, being able to drive specialism and really differentiate yourselves from the pack. There are, of course, Amazon's a pretty well-funded organization, so there's funding and platform credits to support solutions being built both for customers, but also with and on behalf of customers. And that project funding can oftentimes be the difference between making the business case or not making a business case, particularly with customers who haven't had that lived experience of those cloud benefits and therefore need to make slightly more of an economic decision initially before really getting into the high availability architecture and resilience and ability to really experiment quickly that the cloud ultimately brings the most mature organizations. For organizations who need to sort of really focus on just bread and butter into the cloud and more basic workloads, it can be really helpful to have that support initially to get over that initial hurdle of the migration. And then also, also probably pointing out that clouds, really does evolve and move and develop so quickly that partners, particularly when you start getting into those sort of advanced tier and premier tier partners, are often invited to early access of upcoming features. So, there's information that's publicly available and generally available that AWS makes available, such as the release schedules for new regions and availability zones and local zones that Jacob went through earlier, which is super exciting. And I think it's probably worth noting that there would be certainly partners in the ecosystem who would have known about some of those developments before the general public. And that really helps make better business decisions around where AWS is making investments. Often makes sense to match those investments and kind of ride the wave where the wave's going to take you. And also being able to get advanced notice of new types of services that are being developed allows not only sort of inherently technical and curious people that you're trying to hire know that they'll always be able to get their hands on the latest and greatest goodies, but also kind of helps you get one click ahead of your customer in being able to maintain that advanced level of credibility and really be that trusted advisor to customers in terms of saying this is the next thing that we can do together. So I'm going to wrap up there, guys. I just really want to give you a very straightforward introduction to what that ecosystem looks like. And I really implore you as a call to action. I don't come from a technical background. I didn't study STEM when I was in university, but there is a fantastic pathway with all of the platforms on cloud, including AWS, but perhaps AWS does it especially well to not only train yourself and take advantage of the fantastic learning materials that are on things like Cloud Guru and others, but also to follow the formal certification paths and get certified on AWS. There are both sort of non-technical qualifications or non-technical certification, I should say. The cloud practitioner course is particularly strong in that regard and really gives you a grounding to how some of those cloud benefits really work. So you can kind of contextualize it and really get a sense of why it is that customers choose to use these technologies in addition or instead of more traditional technologies like client-server architecture and mainframe centrally hosted data center technologies. But also, once you sort of getting an idea of where you'd like your career to go, there are 11 different certifications that you can do, and it really does enable you to differentiate yourself in the job market, which is not only, as Jacob said, there's a real shortage of talent, but it's still a very competitive job market. And so these certifications certainly enable you to distinguish yourself. So that's it from me. I'm happy to take Q&A now. I'm happy to stick around until after Tamil's presentation and take Q&A then. And I will stop sharing those slides so that I can see you guys instead. So yeah, Tamil, I think you probably had muted yourself earlier. So feel free to unmute yourself. And that's it from me for the moment in terms of the chalk and talk. I'm not yet able to hear you.
and we have some problems which has been sorted out now. Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
Nice. Thanks.
Might be worth validating. You guys could all hear that, and I was sort of just talking out the slides. I wasn't really getting a huge amount of auditory or visual feedback. Just want to confirm.
We did had a small glitch, but it's all good now. Thanks for sharing about partners. A question to you, Angus. We all know cloud service providers like be it Amazon or Microsoft or Google have their own professional services, right? Those technical experts who can do the job, roll up their sleeves. But based on your experience, where do customers choose, be it Cloud Pro Serve or a partner ecosystem?
So I think the important thing here is that it's not a binary choice. It's not an either or. It's really an and also. So AWS ProServe is a much smaller division of AWS than their general engineering teams. So it's really probably a good analogy here is sort of special forces versus the rest of the armed forces. And so ProServe can give you a really detailed view into particular parts of their technologies. And then oftentimes it makes more sense to engage a partner from the broader ecosystem to be able to help do more of the heavy lifting, particularly in a migration context. Generally speaking, the goal is for an organization who's using AWS technologies to build some level of internal capability and competence with the tools. It's pretty risky to entirely outsource to either the vendor or a partner. So really there's a role, if you kind of think of the Venn diagram of both the customer's internal teams building capability, AWS's professional services team offering advice and capability and support where necessary, and then a chosen partner from the ecosystem, or oftentimes several partners depending on their relevant experience and niche expertise. That's probably the most sort of successful model, is to use a little bit of the expertise from within AWS's own organization, and then figure out where you need to supplement, and also where you want your team spending time and investing their time. Oftentimes for an organization that's based in, let's say Australia, it's really helpful to have access to offshore resources, and a partner is a logical place to go for that, particularly a partner with global footprints, such as one of the GSIs. And so really, there's not one perfect answer or one solution that fits, but I think it's good to think of those three things as sort of complementary around the customer as different resources that they can draw from.
Thanks, Angus. I'm sure every one of you would have got emails and memos from your managers to get certified, right? It's all drive up to your credentials as a partner. And I'm sure you will do, but make sure you know about what all competencies your partner has acquired, get to know more about those, what's the process involved. And when you're in front of the customer, best to know about all your accreditations and competencies. So you're best placed. Any questions from anyone to Angus?
Tamil, you may need to repeat the questions just into the microphone. Apologies, that will probably cause a little bit of frustration, but I probably wouldn't be able to hear the questions from the floor.
A more of an entrepreneurial question. And can an individual become a partner?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, a laptop, a smile, and a certification is pretty much the basic qualification to be able to be a partner. Although I generally speaking would encourage entrepreneurs to find like-minded entrepreneurs, because the success rates for any type of startup are massively increased by having a team of like-minded individuals rather than trying to be a one-man band. But yeah, I'm happy to reshare the slides if that's helpful. But the different tiers from registered partner all the way through to premier partner, it would be exceedingly difficult to become a premier partner on your own, because there are sort of a minimum number of projects and a minimum number of certified individuals. So it would be more likely that in terms of the entrepreneurial pathway, and I can kind of speak to this because this is, I have a degree of insight into BlazeClan's early journey from about 10 years ago. They started with 4 or 5 people. So the 3 founders and I think employees number 1 and 2, who are still at the organization in very senior roles, as you'd expect. So the barrier to entry is very low, and it's deliberately so. So AWS want to encourage as many organizations as possible to be able to benefit from registering as an AWS partner and growing their business. The caveat to that is that it's a double-edged sword, right? So the fact that your organization had such low barriers to entry also implies that every other potential competitor and real competitor has very low barriers to entry also. So that's why it's very important to differentiate yourselves. And that's really where having a degree of insight into what particular dynamics, so whether it's new zones opening up and identifying that there's a gap in the market where none of the GSIs and none of the born clouds have an office near a zone that's just about to launch. And so you'll be able to help customers right in that zone and probably benefit from some AWS investment going into that zone as well, for example. Or it might be that you're noticing new services come through that really tie in with your passion. So, cutting edge technologies like quantum and DLT are potentially really fantastic areas if you have a natural insight into that, into those technologies, or just a passion for them, to be able to figure out how to help customers apply those emerging technologies to their challenges. That can be a really fruitful space for an entrepreneurial minded individual or group of individuals to go and find some good hunting ground. But I think trying to, as a one-man band, just start the next TCS is probably not a great use of someone's dowry, for example. I would say, have a really low threshold for putting, a really high threshold for putting money against an entrepreneurial activity, unless you really have a clear idea of why a customer is going to choose you instead of everyone else they could choose, and why they're going to choose your problem to solve rather than any of the other problems they could solve in their business.
Hope got the answer. So, like Angus said, there are some basic competencies that every partner has to acquire, but it all depends on the specialization that they have. And that's what makes them differentiated from the rest. And that's how new entrepreneurs grow as well. They specialize on one particular thing and focus on that. Nice. Thanks, Angus. Job well done. Thank you. It's my turn now. And
yep. I'll stick around.
Don't close it. Yes. Okay. Someone has a question.
How early access is benefit for the partners?
How?
Early access is benefit for the partners.
Can you explain the question?
Maybe we take it. So
yeah.
In one of the slides, right? So the partners has early access to
early access.
The new services that are being launched.
Yeah.
So how is that?
Okay. Like Angus said, most of the times we get to know the latest from AWS through the reInvent or the AWS Summit. I believe it's happening in Mumbai, right? In India. Am I right? Mumbai. Okay. You get to know the announcements right then, right? And you can subscribe to those announcements as well. But the partners get those announcements a bit earlier than that. So they start to work out, integrations to those new features. They can train their employees to that before everyone can do. That's the benefit of early access to those services and features to those partners. They get access to those preview features. They get trained, and another thing benefit to AWS is they use that as a testing mechanism before it goes to GA. Okay.
So an additional advantage, Tal, I'm just going to add something there, is that when AWS launch a service, their expectation is that it's immediately something that customers are able to experiment with, adopt, and gain value from. And so what they want to have happen is partners to be ready to help customers navigate how they add that value. So the reason that they give partners that early access is and select some launch partners is usually the phraseology they use. So they'll select those launch partners so that at the moment that customers are able to use that technology, they have support from specific partners who've invested time and energy into gaining the capability in those particular new services. So it's not really, it's not just for the partner's benefit. It's really for the customer's benefit as well. And obviously it benefits AWS because their investments into new services and new technologies are more likely to be successful if customers have a smooth path to experimenting with and adopting them.
Great point, Angus, on the customer perspective. And you would have seen any new features or services would always come along with launch partners. I'm sure some of your organizations would be launch partners of some of those services as well. Thanks, Angus. Time to move on. The next one would be about a different perspective that we have not seen so far. Just hold on while I share the screen. Very quick intro. Tamilselvan Easwaran. I'm a solution architect of Optus, based out of Sydney, and glad to share that last year I was recognized for my work in the cloud and also partner enablement. Was awarded as AWS Ambassador. So yeah, today, just to recap, we started with Jacob talking about general things about Amazon Web Services, its global footprint, and what's new in India region as well. And then followed up by Kaushik's view about customer, how customer uses cloud, and how the migration journey happens. The first one is platform, the second one is customer, and the third topic was more about partner ecosystem by Angus. And now we're going to talk about someone who does the job. We're going to talk about people. How we have a platform, we have partners, and we have approach, strategy, but it's all done by the people who sit in office rooms and now at homes, work day in day out to do the job. I'm a big fan of everything by everyone. When I started my IT journey, it's all layered up, I would say. So for each service or each function, you have to approach a team, wait for from few hours to few days, maybe sometimes few weeks to come back to you, and then start to do your job. But cloud, DevOps, automation have changed a lot of those perspectives. All the API integrations help us with the click of a button, with a command, and with a push, you get what you want, and you can do your job. Cloud is a good enabler for all of this. Your partner or your customer could be focused on one particular thing, specialization, but for all of them, cloud is an enabler. They make it happen for the customer. So I know there's a lot of experts out there. Different, we have engineers, program managers, salespeople, HR out here. But what's done is segmented those into those three major segments. I see a lot of people falling into these segments. Please feel free to add anything if I have missed. So under the technical, I see a lot of consulting individuals. When we say consulting, it could be architects, it could be business analysts, it could be security consultants. They go to the customer, they gather the data, and then they make the data into meaningful information for the customer. They are those who build strategies for customers and also drive it to the development team to make it happen for the customer. The next bucket falls under, I call it engineering, the builders, right? So it's not just developers, it could be system admins, it could be security engineers, NOC, SOC, support engineers, technical support specialists, whoever you call, all fall under engineering. These are the people who stay late at night sometimes, work and make sure the applications or the platform is available for the customer and also for the end users. I'm sure most of you fall under this segment, but in the following slides, you would see a couple of examples of how people have merged multiple segments into one and made their career out of their own. The next big segment, I would say, would be management, and particularly in cloud. I've been involved in a lot of transformation projects, and no projects happen without a project manager or a program manager or a delivery manager. So, as I said, cloud is for all. So it's not just for the developer community; it's for everyone. And under management, I see a lot of two major segments: one, project and portfolio or program management. It's about budgeting, people management, etc. And the other major one is a product management. It could be with the cloud service providers, it could be within your own organization. You would have seen a lot of product managers now, platform owners. They know what the customer wants. They build the sales funnel, work on it, and make sure they develop product that is usable for the customers. And one other major segment that I see that's much needed for cloud is sales. And I'm not sure is there any sales people here? Angus, can I call you a sales director? Are you there? Okay. So Angus' designation is associate director, strategic pursuits. He's more into sales and marketing. So sales is much more important as well. There's always a tug of war between sales and the developer community, but it's only great when both happens together in tandem. And for information, all the salespeople, if you do not know, be the front facing to the customer. They know in and out of the partner ecosystem what you do. They build strategies. They build go-to-market strategies and make sure whatever you build as an engineer, whatever you manage as a product and project and program manager is actually sellable to the customer. At the end of the day, making sure customer is happy. That's it with the theory. I just want to share some real examples out there who have gone into cloud careers, having done different things or similar things. So one is my LinkedIn profile, and another profile is Vinod Chandra. He's a good friend of mine. He's one of my mentor, friend, my previous manager, and a good family friend as well. So one different thing, if you could see between Vinod and myself is Vinod has grown organically within Amazon Web Services. Look at the slide, you could see over the last 6 to 7 years, he's been with AWS. He's grown up in the ladder, depending on his own interest and appetite. On the other hand, myself, I'm working with, using AWS for about 8 to 10 years now, but I've chosen a customer and the partner ecosystem. So we use the same, cloud, but again, his strategy is different and mine is different. And if you could see, he started even before starting his journey as a DevOps engineer. He was a portfolio manager in one of the GSIs as well. So he switched. He liked cloud. And then I'm sure he would have liked all the good things about Amazon Web Services as well. He switched from a portfolio manager into a DevOps engineer, and look at his career growth: lead engineer, cloud architect, senior cloud architect, then senior specialist cloud, solution architect, and now he's into strategic customer engagement. So if you have a thing in mind of changing your career into a technical side, a lot of examples. And look at my profile. I was I'm system administrator before, focusing on middleware, application support, operating system. In 2014, when Qantas, Australia's biggest domestic carrier, moved into cloud, I jumped onto the team, started as a cloud engineer, then moved into a technical lead, then done a role of cloud architect for a lot of transformation projects within Qantas. Then I wanted to explore consulting services as well, because I wanted to work with lots of other customers as well. And our group helped me in some challenging projects. Was a real close to good 2 years with them. Then moved on to a customer side. I was a technical lead again. So from consultancy into a technical lead, and now I'm with Optus as a solutions architect in the sales team, focusing on cloud transformation for Optus customers. So we share similar, vibes, Vinod and myself, but it's up to you as well. Think about your career, how you want to grow, and look out for people out there in LinkedIn, or even our community is gonna grow big. So share a lot of good things between you, and please choose the right one that is right for you. So hope you can see this. In the next 2 minutes, I just want to see what helped me to become an ambassador. And just for your information, and AWS ambassador belongs to a partner network. There are around 250 people in the world, mainly comprised of CTOs, some CIOs, solution architects, salespeople. So it's not just for the developer community or one particular community. It's for all. Anyone can become an ambassador. It's mainly awarded to people who have worked on a partner enablement, helping them achieve what we call competencies, sit in the audit sessions, make sure the partner achieves it, and also shares a lot of blogs and knowledge sharing sessions with the wider community as well. There's a bit of obligations to be an ambassador. You need to be focused on community building and also customer success stories as well. So if you could see, 2014 is when I started my cloud journey. I still remember the day when I told my manager, you'll be laughing at this. I just told him, I was able to gain root access to a Linux machine. This is what I told him. Until then, for the previous 3 years, we never enjoyed that privilege. And now I'm sure everyone would be having such privileged access, but with power comes also responsibilities. That's what opened our eyes as well. The democratizing both technology and also I would say privileges makes everyone happy. Anyone can now create an AWS account, spin up virtual machines, or you use AI services on your own to develop your own product, right? Which was really, really difficult 10 years ago. You need to have a capital investment and a lot of planning to be done. And I also did my first certifications, did a couple of simple proof of concepts, and then ventured into cloud engineering. Started to learn more about cloud. Around 2016, I could say I was a cloud user. After 2 years, then moved on to a technical leadership role, focusing on platform support, and also learned a lot in the DevOps area those times. A wide range of ecosystem, I would say. Atlassian was beginning at that stage, so a lot of DevOps work as well. HashiCorp products. 2018, I could say I know a bit more. Moved into consulting roles. Did a lot of migration. Moved on to architecture, but still continued my certifications as well. 2020. Moved into a platform lead in a customer end, focused on security and cloud architecture during that time. And also about earlier to 2020, I was more focused on myself and the team perspective, then widen my spectrum into how to make the organization enable to use cloud. There would be other teams. I'm sure you would have seen about Center of Excellence. One particular team knowing all about cloud, and then they would be like a factory model or a pipeline model. Every other product team would come to them for any services. Same with data engineering as well. But it's all about making it programmable and easy for the entire organization. Even a support engineer working in an application should be able to access cloud and do what they want. And by that time, thanks to Optus as well, I was awarded ambassador, and still I'm doing a lot of certifications. Focusing on some specialty and pro. And now I'm learning a lot. Learning a lot from Angus as well. He's a sales pro. So nothing is easy. Sometimes I go to a sales meeting and I'll be Googling some of the acronyms that they use. I still do not know. So knowledge is like ocean. Everyone would agree to it. And it's never ending. And if you could see from 2014 till 2022, still working on my certifications. It's not just for a number perspective. Cloud is very dynamic, keeps changing. Features change, services change, and due to our day-to-day nature as well, we would not be able to have time to get ourselves updated. So certifications in that way helps us to be on the bleeding edge, and also it also, as I said, helps your partners as well to get this course. I'm sure a lot of you are already embarked into the cloud journey, but if anyone would like to start, I would say take the first step. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Jump onto the bandwagon, get trained, lots of materials around, and I'm sure our community is going to grow big. Make use of the community, ask questions. The answers are everywhere, but it's more about you ask the right question to the right people. And if it's a community, you can ask the community, and the right people will answer you. Build your network, very important. And even though if you would have seen my career ladder, I'm with 3 or 4 organizations over the last 10 years, but I still have connects with all the previous ones. And it's not just about connects. We do projects for them, and then we get out of other companies as well. So don't lose your network anytime, and make it so strong. So be curious. I'm sure everyone is here, and keep learning. That's what I would say. Learning will definitely bring us a lot of good things. Anyone here who are new starters, please make use of the QR code. These are two recent updates from AWS on the learning side. One is Skill Builder. It's a gaming based cloud learning. Some of you might enjoy it. And the second one is register yourself in the AWS Educate program. I believe there are a lot of restrictions reduced now, making every individual to gain access to those free sessions, etc. And always talk to your partner organizations. If you need any trainings, they would be really happy to know that, and reach out to the wider community as well if you want to. That's it from me. Any questions on this particular topic, or any inputs from anyone? Like to know stories as well. Okay, if not, we'll wind up this topic.
When we are going to see the services of AWS and banking, because right now everything is in free. So when we are going to see AWS or any of the cloud public cloud?
I see a lot of banking customers already using public cloud. Maybe 6 years back, there were concerns about data sovereignty, security, etc. It's all compliant now, and you have a lot of services within AWS to have an audit report on compliances, etc. So, and I'm sure AWS is also moving towards industry solutions as well. Not sure about banking sector. You can use all the services now. AWS services is almost like a Lego block. You stack up the services and you create applications or services for your own domain, and then you can monetize it as well. So I'm sure there will be a lot of banking products built on top of Amazon Web Services and other public clouds. But in terms of industry solutions, I'm sure the Andy Jassys and likes of the new CEOs will be thinking about it. I could see a lot of industry solutions on the supply chain and also manufacturing coming up in the cloud space. So hopefully, a lot in the future. Sure. Yeah. Just repeat the question. So, as a project manager, how to start getting certified in the cloud? So, I would say the bare minimum would be a cloud practitioner certificate. So, just Google it. I believe it's not sure if it's a free course in India. It might be few bucks, but that's a good way to start. And if you are a part of a partner network, you would get business essentials and also technical essentials as well. That will help you to know basic things about Amazon Web Services, and I've seen a lot of program managers, project managers getting associate level certificates and even professional level certificates as well. So always good to go, hand in hand with the developers and program managers. So I would say begin with cloud practitioner and then move up, associate level. And once you know the associate level, then you might be interested to know more as well. Then you can go specializing on anything that you want. And hopefully, if that's training is one of the interest, Gokul, Raghav, and some of you in the future could be admins as well. We can have sessions on training, and we can bring some training partners as well to help you out. So keep the feedback coming in to the group and help the community grow as well. That is more important. That's the basic agenda for us today, to get us together and then build a community around cloud in Coimbatore. And why not, make it big in the world stage as well. Amazon Go. I do not know. Retail stores, right? Okay. Okay. All good. Can we close it? Yeah.
So actually, you work for like your ultimate goal would be like converting the enterprise cloud into other cloud pure on-premises. And can you just relate what is the pain point from converting an enterprise cloud by creating all this stuff to cloud? Like how do you, what's the convincing point of clients?
So you asked two questions. Let me repeat the question. One, pain points and also convincing points for the customers to move from on-premises to cloud.
Because
Yeah.
like you know, both have their pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
And like yeah, how would you do it?
So first, let me talk about the convincing points. It's not about convincing. It's about giving them the data and the facts. So it's all about doing a discovery of the customer environment, provide them data, and during the data discovery itself, you'll be having a lot of integrations with internal teams, and by that you will have a lot. You'll get to know a lot of pain areas. Some might say this particular database is a bottleneck for us, and some might say this network component or a firewall is always a problem. So that will form a business case as well. And in the business case, it's not just about how much you save when you move to cloud. It's also about solving those pain areas. So a lot of times, the pain points would be siloed teams, getting things done by a different team, and multi-vendor organizations, an organization using 10, 20 vendors for their whole IT environment. It's always a difficult task when everything is easy when it goes well, but only when during an incident or a problem happens, you have to ring every one. And automation is always a problem as well. I mean, not getting automated earlier, right? And a lot of times when we talk to application teams during migration, they do not completely know about their application stack as well. They do not know what their RPO, RTO is sometimes, because they would have got the knowledge from different teams, and they would just be supporting the application availability. But during the migration, some of the benefits for the customer is to get to know more about their application itself. Sometimes, due to cost factor or time factor, we migrate as such to cloud. But a lot of times, we would ask customers to think about modernizing their applications. If it's a monolith, think about microservices architecture, or at least go a little bit cloud native, reduce dependency on large databases, go for NoSQL, so such things. And yeah, I touched upon pain points. The convincing factors, it's cost, reduction of pain points, and innovation. And you know it, right? You come from voice.ai. Without cloud, I don't think that would be possible for a startup at all. So even with customers who are 10, 20, or 50 years old, they are moving to cloud so that their teams get innovated faster and they provide more digital solutions to their customers. Hope I answered your question. Yes.
Like I've been to a solution architect for some reason, okay, for as a DevOps architect, and it's always very like we face a lot of demands, like converting a banking client, let's say Access Bank and ICICI, we deploy the services on their device, and it's always very big pain point for us to promote the clients to have a like they're not allowing us to deploy a solution on cloud.
Mhm.
But they wanted us to go with their own
Yeah.
parameters that they have.
Yeah.
So why is that even happening with all these big banks that we have in India? Like why are they not converting to cloud? Like we have a lot of options out there, and we have a lot of consulting firms who keep on
Yeah.
why this is happening.
See, cloud is nice, but it's not a mandate to move to cloud, right? Things still work. The applications that work on-prem or bare metal would always work on cloud, and it's the other way around. Whatever works on cloud, work on-prem as well. Depends on a lot of other factors as well, right? They would have done a lot of investment in their either private cloud or on-premise infrastructure, so they would want a return of investment before they can move to the next one. Second one, I want to answer your pain points. Organizational change. It's easy to move to cloud, but who will support? Right? Yes, there are partners available, but they might not be ready to spend money on them. they might have internal teams who are trained on private cloud or on-prem infrastructure. They still want to use them. So a lot of other factors. And banking in particular, not sure about the regulations in India. So, and I'm not sure about their presence in public cloud, but I'm sure things will change in the future. And as I said, cloud is just another thing. It is good, and people will definitely benefit moving to cloud, but it's not a mandate. Maybe in the future, a lot of firms can think about sustainability as well, because carbon footprint is absolutely big on data center and private cloud. When it's cloud, it's all scalable and it's multi-tenanted, so the carbon footprint could be lessened by moving to cloud.
One more thing I can add to that point is regulations in India. It's actually, you have heard about a couple of banks, they have stopped from getting touch for the past 6 or 7 years. That's because they had data in the cloud. So recently, they are trying to utilize this cloud technology in banking aspect. But in regulations perspective, in another 2 years, I think they will, Indian government will also allow data to be stored in cloud, and they are looking into that. I had one question. So we were in one of our clients, we were using cloud, but the thing is, we have servers only in US, but we show our, for example, website in 12 different countries. So it's multilingual. The thing was, we had Akamai in US, but we, for example, a page to be visible in China, right? So there is a huge time lag, right? Because Akamai is available in US, it has to post the data to Chinese Akamai feed, right? So it has a huge time lag. So it's still happening. Is there any architectural things which is AWS thinking of to achieve this time lapse? One thing I can understand is I can put the server in China so that it will be faster. That is not possible because of the regulations again, and there are few cookies which few countries will not allow as well. Right? So, what else can be done for that? Maybe all the cloud computing systems. Okay, what are they thinking about?
Anyone want to answer?
Just to add on point on that, like 2 weeks back, I was in AWS office for architecting, AWS architecture certification, and what that guy suggested was like, Akamai was a very big CDN in the world, right? Even AWS CloudFront is like using Akamai.
Still it is, yeah.
So, yeah, like,
I mean, you got out one answer, right? Moving cloud to China or even closer to China, but regulations stopped it. But I would say maybe a revisit of the architecture as well, and then I'm sure Akamai is huge and they have lots of edge locations, same as Amazon Web Services as well. But one thing with a cloud solution is the best thing with cloud is if you use Amazon CDN and you have direct integration with, say, S3 buckets, and we call it origin identity, right? So, and then S3 is region based and scalable as well. So the integration between the services within Amazon is one, scalable. Second, the latency can be reduced because they have their own backbone. And Akamai, it might go through a public infrastructure. A lot of ISPs come in the middle. But if it's a public cloud provider, it could be one hop or even two hop. That's one thing. Maybe complete cloud native. But it's very hard to move a customer who are in Akamai for about 10, 20 years into another one. If it helps, they can think about moving to completely cloud. Yeah, I think it's time to close this session. It's already done.
Hey team.
Hey, Angus. Oh, we're on YouTube, so let's say bye, everybody. Take care. Let's sign off. Cheers.
Yeah, bye.
All done, Tamil?
Very excited to see you work. You can how to what do you want to see in the community in the future?
More online camps also.
Online.
Online. These kind of offline camps.
So blended approach and
Maybe some practical use cases that they tried in their
So அது வந்து different streams are போயிடும்ல அப்படிலாம் யோசனை ஒரு developer stream போகும்.
maybe as part of the session, right?
Yeah.
15 minutes. Okay, this is how I learn something and try something.
Like cloud practice course start on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So நிறைய இன்டர்ன்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அந்த க்ளவுட் ப்ராக்டிஸ் மேபி போஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
நான் என்னோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வச்சு சொல்கிறேன். இப்போ நம்ம ஒர்க்லேயே இருந்தோம்னு வைங்க, ஆஃபீஸ்லேயே இருக்கோம், அண்ட் வில் பி க்ளோஸ் டு ஒன் டீம், ஒன் ஆர் ஃபியூ டீம்ஸ், அண்ட் வில் பி ஃபோக்கஸிங் ஆன் அவர் ஓன் ஜாப். ஆனால் இந்த மாதிரி கம்யூனிட்டி வரும்போது இட்ஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் குட் டு பிரிங் இன் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் வைட் வெரைட்டி ஆஃப் பீப்புள். சேல்ஸ் பீப்புள் வந்து ஒரு நாள் பேசுவாங்க, நிறைய பேருக்கு என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, நம்ம போய் நம்ம தான் போட இருக்கோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். ஆனால் இட்ஸ் ஹார்ட் ஜாப். சரி, அதுவும் நம்ம ஊர் கஸ்டமர்ஸ்லாம் சொல்லவே வேண்டாம். அதுக்கப்புறம் டெவலப்பர் கம்யூனிகேஷன், டெவாப்ஸ் ப்ராஜெக்ட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். இப்படி நம்ம ஒரு நீங்கள் டன் மைக்ரேஷன் ப்ராஜெக்ட் யூ கேன் டாக் அபவுட் ஜஸ்ட் ஃபார் 15 minutes. இல்லைன்னா இது எல்லாமே மற்றவங்களுக்கு நீங்கள் அந்த லெவல் ரீச் ஆகிற இன்னொரு 5-6 years ஆகும். தென் யூ நீட் டு ஹேவ் a lot of connections in your organization to know all of it. One other thing, இந்த இதிலே இல்லாமல் we need to bring in other domain people like doctors who are working on surgicals, robotic arms யூஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க. என்னோட ஃப்ரெண்டு யூஎஸ்ல யூஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க. I was thinking to 110 even in Swift 110 remote surgicals பண்றவங்க, they all use technology. Your name Sunil from voice.ai use பண்றாங்க. So we can know how they use industry. நம்ம ஊரே ஃபுல்லாக இண்டஸ்ட்ரி நிறைய இண்டஸ்ட்ரி கான்டாக்ட் பண்ணுறோம். நேற்று நான் ஒரு ஃபேக்ட்ரி பார்த்தேன். they are into robotic factory automation solutions, RFAS. They do a lot of automation in the delivery pipeline, hardware, for screw, other automation, welding automation. We can bring in here as well. அவங்களுக்கு கிளவுட் பற்றி அதிகமாக தெரியாது, பட் அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க அவங்க என்ன பண்ணுறாங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. they do a lot of IoT stuff as well. அதுக்கப்புறம் அவங்களுக்கும் பிற்காலத்தில் டேட்டா நிறையா ஜென்ரேட் ஆகும். ஸ்டோர் பண்ணுறதுக்கு எங்கேயாவது வேணும், சர்வர் இருக்கணும், சர்வர் வச்சு மெயின்டைன் பண்ணணும், அவங்க கிளவுட் புக் பண்ணணும். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்லுங்கள், அது மாதிரி ரீட்டைல் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில் யாரும் இருக்காங்க, இல்லை டெக்ஸ்டைல்ஸ் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில் இருக்காங்க. அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணோம்னா we have a different perspectives. hope the community stays together. Thank you, Total.
Thank you, Tamil. So you approached us. It's an honor for us.
And thank you, Ray.
So
Good food. Tea, alarms. All the best for all your keep in touch. Stay healthy.
thank you, guys. So just send us the feedbacks and also in the QR code. Just in case if you guys not yet registered, please do registrations. So we will be sending the goodies to your email IDs. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Forgot to say that Cloud Kinetics have generally offered us some goodies. Thank you. So I'm not sure if everyone knows about Cloud Kinetics. You introduce.
Yeah. Actually, we are AWS Platinum Partnership Association, and also we have been completely into cloud migration services and application services, and also infrastructure management services. And Tamil we are a multi-cloud organization as well. So we do have presence across India and also in Southeast Asia, and also we have our present footsteps in Australia as well recently. And we are slowly moving towards to the Schengen side and also Middle East as well. So we are growing very fast. So that's about seeking. And we have our offshore delivery centers in Chennai and also in Hyderabad. And initially, we had a center of excellence service in SKC College in Coimbatore itself. And again, after this corona, so we are replanning.
Sydney deliver பண்ணுவீங்களா?